I am Graham, a trucker who reads a lot of books. My goal is to be a full-time author and illustrator. You're helping me get there by watching this video, so thanks. Now on to the video. Only 2 of these left, as long as I do 3 stories per video. Alright, welcome back to the October Country Summaries. First story here is called Jack in the Box. This one was weird. A couple of these were weird. The main character is a kid named Edwin. He lives in a house. He's not allowed to leave the house. His mom tells him that the house is the entire universe and that his father was God, but that God is gone now. And Edwin keeps wanting to look outside the house and go outside the house, but he's basically given to believe that if he does, he'll die. Um, but at the same time, it's like, how do I get my freedom? But he doesn't really have a frame of reference to understand all that. It's weird. Even when this was done, I jumped online to see if I could find some discussion boards or something. Is there something that I'm missing from this story that it makes it really not that impactful for me? Uh, by the end of it, his mom dies and he finally leaves the house and he sees what the outside world is and it's all wonderful and new to him. But instead of announcing I'm free or I'm out or something happened to my mom, he's just like, "Hi, I'm dead now." What is this? Got to admit, this is one that didn't really land for me. I guess there's a strong metaphor there that oh, he's a jack in the box. He's not really alive until he's out of the box. I'm like, okay, but what are you saying with this story? Is that all weird? He makes up for it though in the next story called Scythe, which this one has really hung with me even since the first time I read this whole collection. There's a main character guy named Drew Erickson. It's not really clear when this is set, but it's during some kind of economic downturn. I kind of got the impression that it was the Great Depression. And he's driving along with his family. They're broke, they're hungry, and they come across this huge wheat farm. And they stop in and they find that the owner is dead. And he left a note saying hey, whoever finds this place, it's yours. Just tend to the fields. And there's some kind of ominous but coded warning as well. And Drew doesn't really pick up on it. He's like, okay, so he grabs this scythe and he starts scything the fields. But it's weird because the wheat grows super fast and then dies super fast after he harvests it. And the only way to harvest it is manually. Then he starts hearing of people dying in large groups, and some weird thing happens, and he starts to correlate it with the fact that the wheat actually represents people who are alive all around the world. And whenever he scythes through some of that wheat, every stalk corresponds with a human life somewhere, and he realizes he's actually accepted the mantle of being the Grim Reaper. And it's his job to reap people. And he doesn't want to do it, because obviously you'd have some moral hangups about oh crap, I'm killing people. And then it's not expressly stated how, but he's able to identify which stalks represent who. And he finds the crop of wheat that represents his family. And he's like, if I don't harvest this, we'll just live forever. I'll just keep harvesting around it. So he does, and before long, the house burns down on the farm property. And he's trying to wake up his family, but they won't wake up. And he's like, oh crap, I didn't harvest the wheat. Why are they dying? And then he comes to realize the correlation between the fact that he has to harvest the wheat, and that even if he doesn't, the people are going to die, but it's going to get weird and it's going to get complicated. So from then on, he embraces the duty of being the Grim Reaper, even though it's not something that he's wild about, but he understands the true weight and consequence of it. And the saying, there's no such thing as a free lunch, becomes very, very true. And for the rest of his days, much like the previous owner, he's got to stay there and occupy the farm in order to keep the world in balance. People are born, but people also have to be able to die. And I thought that was a suitable, weighty, surprising twist. So that one was very impactful. And then the final story for this segment, number 13, is called Uncle Einar. And he's writing kind of a fantasy story here, but he does it in sort of that magical realism way where he doesn't explain necessarily how something is a certain way, he just writes it. So there's this guy, Einar, who for whatever reason, he has green wings. And he loves to fly, but because he has green wings and that makes him weird, he can't just fly around whenever he wants. He's got to fly around at night. Well, he wipes out. He has a crash at nighttime, and it damages his ability to fly, but he still has the wings. And so now he's like only supposed to stay up and fly during the day, but then people will see him, and that'll be weird. And he's just constantly this outsider. He's weird because of this mutation that he has. He's always separated from normal society, and he struggles to find joy. But then, like, eventually, he's able to like develop relationships with people, and they find a particular way for him to demonstrate his powers, and he finds value in that one. I don't know that, like, outside of the fact that this one had kind of a mutated first or mutated main character, excuse me. I don't think this one necessarily scratched the itch of it being an October story or a Halloween story. It was just weird, and it was saying something about being an outsider but finding your way forward, and like it did that. This one didn't really move the needle for me, but out of these three, obviously I thought that the most impactful one was Scythe. Thank you for watching that. To help the channel, check out my books on Amazon. Buy one, read it, tell me what you think. For October, I recommend Sleepless Hollow, a fantastic sci-fi romp with guns, ghosts, and gonzo action sequences. You can also subscribe to my Substack, where I do more detailed book reviews and longer running projects, some of which is paywalled. Drive safe. See you out there.